Hello and welcome to 5 or 8. I'm your host, Liam. I want to talk to you about a game night I had recently with some friends. First off, we're at Fortress Bar in Melbourne, and Zoe, you and your partner invited me to play Terraforming Mars. Can you tell me about the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So Terraforming Mars is like an engine sort of building game where you basically start off with this barren Mars and you have to terraform it by building cities and forests.
Yeah, so this is a game that I always like on my radar. It rates very well on BGG. It's a popular engine building game. I like that sort of game. I hadn't played it, and then you invited me to play. But you don't just play the base game, do you?
No, we have all the expansions, and we even have the luxury pieces, not just the cardboard tiles.
Yep, the fancy 3D ones. Yep.
Yep.
So we played. So it was the base game with Prelude, Colonies, and Venus next. Yep. So it was the first time I played Terraforming Mars at all, so I went in with some homework. And yeah, I really enjoyed the game, the challenge of, you have kind of the shared goal, but it's a competitive game.
Yeah, absolutely. So you each are competing for victory points and terraforming rating to try and basically race around the track to come first. Yep.
So we played it with the 4 expansions. Do you normally play with everything?
Honestly, the last expansion, Turmoil, is not my favourite. I don't think it adds as much to the game, and it can be very confusing. But sometimes we do play.
So I guess apart from the learning hurdle, because I did watch some videos, that's the way to play it. With those 4 expansions. Sean, you were there that day. Is that, from what we've just discussed, is that a game that you think you might want to play?
I think so. A lot of my friends and I that I often do my own board games night. We like things that are a bit more complicated, and we can really build and sit there and go afterwards and go, oh, like maybe we should try this next time, kind of thing. So I think in that sense, it's certainly something, I'd love to get my hands on and have a crack at.
Because that was about a 4-hour game.
Yeah, it can be a pretty long sitting.
And there was a little bit, that wasn't much for the teach, that was just a quick overview as you're setting up. So that was like 4 hours of playing. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that game. Then the next day we were back at Fortress, all 3 of us, and we played a couple of sort of smaller games. So first up was Bonanza, which is a sort of a set collection trading game. We all sort of learned together. What did you guys think of it?
Beans.
It does involve beans, yes.
It does involve beans.
I think it's great, and you can kind of, if you're the kind of person who likes manipulating others and being a little bit sneaky, you can use those skills to trade for what looks like a good deal for them, but it's actually a much better deal for you.
Yeah, because what's really interesting about it is your hand is locked unless you trade away stuff. So you can have stuff in your hand that you desperately don't want to plant on your limited fields. And so there was times you're like, I'll do this trade you want, but you have to take this card that I don't want at the same time. So the fact that your hand is locked really made it an interesting game for me. Sean, what about you?
I think I definitely like that sort of the social bargaining aspect of it, where obviously we want to do what's right for us, but you don't have to give me the card.
Exactly.
I have to make you give me the card. Without the sort of like ending friendships Monopoly trades, which was lovely. And the artwork was really fun. There's a good bit of humour in the game as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit dated, but I think like as a game, especially just like the actual like how small and fast it is fun. I think it's better at 3 than 4, because 3 you have 3 bin fields, at 4 you just have 2, but more people to trade with. But the final game we played was another sort of welcoming game, which I guess is different to Terraforming Mars, that was Splendor, another set collecting game. What did you guys think of that?
I think similar to how you said, you can manipulate people in Bonanza. This was another one of those ones where you had to kind of catch on to what each other was doing to make some decisions. And I thought that was really interesting from trying to plan 2 or 3 steps ahead and see where it was developing. So that really got my brain thinking, and I liked that.
Yeah, because I think because it is a bit of an engine building game as well, but unlike Terraforming Mars, it's a much more of a race. Because I think we were kind of building out, because you could buy cards that gave you a discount on other cards, and we were kind of doing that, Sean, and then we look over at Zoe's like, I've almost won, and we're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was being quite sneaky, and I sort of had a plan from the beginning, and I think
I knew I forgot something.
being a little bit sneaky and not sort of sharing what you're doing was a really good tactic to sort of get ahead without Sean and Liam noticing.
So of those 3 games, so it's sort of got how you'd rate them is like, either do you or would you want to own it, would you be happy to play it, or like would you avoid it in the future? So Terraforming Mars.
I mean, I already partially own it, so
Yep.
but I'd go back and back. So yeah.
I obviously need to get my hands on it and have a crack at some point for sure.
I also got it since playing. Bonanza.
I would definitely play it again. I don't know if I would want to own it, although it's pretty small, so it probably, like, yeah.
I think like I'd happily own a copy just as a bit of an icebreaker game or something. I thought it was quite fun in that it got everyone talking as well. So I'd certainly add it to my collection if I could find it for cheap.
I did buy a $20 copy and put it into my collection. And then finally we have Splendor.
I did like Splendor, but I don't know if that's just because I won every single round. So I would definitely play that one again. I don't know if you guys want to re-challenge at some point.
Well, statistically speaking, we lost to you and then we lost to you. So that's a trend. I mean,
Yeah, you don't want to risk it too much. For me, I didn't mind it. It was like a fine, welcoming game. I think there's a certain point where you sort of move past it a little bit. I would trade for it, but I wouldn't necessarily spend money on it. But I'd happily play it if someone wanted to. And that was our game night.